Welcome back. So today I want to take just a few minutes to go back over chapter 1 with just a few key points that I think are important that we may not have gotten to in our 5-minute Bible study. And so chapter 1 is a very dramatic chapter. There's a whole lot going on. There's danger on the high sea. There's throwing a man overboard. It's like a good pirate movie. There's dialogue between God and Jonah. There's dialogue between the pagans and God. And so there's a lot happening here. As I finished up in the last video, we see that Jesus himself in the New Testament is referencing this situation with Jonah. And so that tells me several things, one of which this is not a made-up story. So people would like to say, well, there is no way that a man can live in the belly of a fish for 3 days and 3 nights and not die. Well, they're right. There's no way except that God performed a miracle. And so we know that this is an account, not a story. This is a historical account because Jesus references it. And in fact, he uses it as a parallel, a foreshadowing of what's going to happen with him. When he is crucified, and there are those 3 days before he's raised again, Jonah in some ways is a symbolic representation of what it will be like for Christ. Jonah was in the belly of the fish. Christ will be in the belly of the earth. He will be in that place of the dead for those 3 days before he receives his life back from the dead. A few things that I also want to point out with chapter 1. I saw at least 5 miracles that occurred that I wanted to just draw your attention to. The first one happened in verse 4, where the Lord hurled a powerful wind on the sea. And so this great storm just came out of nowhere. They didn't see it developing. It's just like God threw it down there and it occurred. The second one happens, chapter 1, verse 7. When they threw their lots, trying to find out who was the cause of their problems, the Lord caused the circumstances, the divine providence, to reveal to them that Jonah was in fact the problem. And so that was miraculous. The third thing that was miraculous is that the minute that they threw Jonah into the water, the raging stopped. And so this goes to show you that God is completely in control of the elements of nature here. He's in control about all that's going on, and he's revealing himself to them as the God of land and sea, as the all-powerful God that is in control. The next miracle is that God had arranged for that fish to be there at just the right time. When Jonah was thrown over, he was going to his sure death, except that God had made a fish just right for the occasion. Remember, God is the creator of heavens and earth, sea creatures, birds, beasts of the land, fish of the sea. All of those are his creation. So not only did he create one capable of holding a man in its stomach, but he caused it to be at the right place at the right time before Jonah was able to drown. And then the fifth miracle that I would like to show you here is that he was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. That's miracle on miracle on miracle, honestly. When you think about the fact that the fish didn't chew him up, the fact that the digestive juices and the enzymes that would be within the fish's stomach that would allow him to break down the food that he's eaten could have been enough to have killed him. The fact that he was underwater with no ability to breathe air, and yet somehow within this space God allowed his life to be sustained. That is miraculous. So even as this prophet is running from God, rebelling against God, God is still showing out powerfully how loving he is, how merciful, how kind, how gracious, how miraculous, how powerful he is. And so I want you to let this speak to your heart. No matter what situation you're in, God is able to use it for his glory and your good. He's able to turn it around. He's able to do what is needed to get our attention. He's able to do what is needed to keep us where he wants us to be. So let this broaden your view of God today. See you next time when we pick up in chapter 2.